LSU football, a little LSU recruiting. Bryce Koon is going to join us to do so over there now at On3Sports. Bryce, we appreciate the time, man. Congrats on the new gig.
Yeah, man. No better time to start right in the midst of the beginning of fall camp, and obviously with what the recruiting run LSU's been on, it's been quite the run there too. So no better time to start than right now.
They are absolutely on a heater, and it feels like every time that we talk LSU recruiting this cycle, it's like, all right, well, where did we leave off? Like, who's the last guy that they got that we talked about? And you try to like kind of play catch up a little bit. So for our listeners, like, what has the last 10 days or so been like for LSU on the trail?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and just in terms of if you're a fan, if you're a subscriber to one of the many message boards on this beat, it's like, you turn your head and you miss a commitment, or you turn your head and you miss kind of the latest tidbit or nugget. So it really has been a whirlwind, and you kind of go back to, I guess, Darius McKinley, which feels like it was 5, 6, 7 days ago. It was just a couple of days ago. Obviously out of Acadiana over there, brother of Don McKinley, and a guy that made his decision, and really and truthfully, I didn't. Nobody wanted to spoil it for him, but this was a race that LSU was really kind of leading the whole way. I mean, you go back to the race for Dom and how LSU flipped him on New Year's a couple of years ago, and just Darius and what he brings to the table, the way that family feels about the LSU staff, even in the transition from Bo Davis to Kyle Williams. I mean, it's just continued to stay solid. So Darius McKinley obviously going to choose LSU, is there, and man, he's been on campus so many times, just on family day when the family's allowed to come in and practice. I mean, it's the amount of unofficial visits he's taken probably rivals a guy like Lamar Brown, who's right there on campus. So that was a big pickup. And then obviously, man, Deuce Gerald's. I mean, good grief. Yeah. I mean, Jacob, I'm a guy that's from the state of Georgia originally. I watched Gerald play up at Collins Hill multiple times before making the move, down to Louisiana. And when you get a guy who, and maybe I'm a little biased here, but when you get a guy here who's from Louisiana, understands the culture, understands what LSU's about, the relationship between his dad and Frank Wilson, and he still gets to go play some really, really great high school ball. That 6A, 7A ball over there in the state of Georgia, which is really, really good at that level. I mean, that's the kind of development piece you look at and you say, okay, he's doing it against guys that are going to play D1. We know he's going to be able to make the transition as long as the head's on straight. And that was something they just had to vet in terms of, making sure that he understood that this wasn't, another 6A high school football game. This is the big boy league. And so, LSU did a great job, I can say, in terms of making sure everything was right in this recruitment. This was kind of an Oregon lean for a while. Yeah. But we had kept telling our subscribers, hey, don't count them out here. That relationship with his dad and Frank Wilson, who recruited him to Ole Miss, and then obviously with what he had going on in terms of the amount of times he's been on campus, it just never felt like LSU was out of it. And I guess for Tiger fans, it feels pretty good because if we're telling you LSU's not out of it, more oftentimes than not, Austin Thomas and the crew are getting it done and able to kind of, put the nail in the coffin with a lot of these recruitments.
Yeah, and it really does, Bryce, seem like it's a point of emphasis to shore up the defensive line and kind of get it back to we all used to know the LSU defensive line. It's not to say that they haven't had pros in the past, but I mean, you would look up and there would be 4 pros in front of you. And I know I can speak on our team, like our best player on our championship team was a defensive tackle. It was Glenn Dorsey. And it does feel like Kyle Williams now coming in as a defensive line coach, he's got kind of a prototype that he's looking at. Like some of these guys, they're not your 350-pound defensive tackles. Like you have some of that, but it looks like it's like the 270, 285-pound defensive tackles, and they really kind of got, a certain body type that they're looking for at that position.
Yeah, I'd agree. And even being out at, fall practice you're seeing the type of drills that Kyle Williams is running these guys through, and they want to be athletic side to side. I mean, yeah, you still have to have, your big run stuffers. You got to have guys that can, take on a double team and not be moved off the line. But you got to have guys that are disruptors in this league, right? And you have to have guys that understand how to utilize their hands, have, this ability to shed a block and then make a play in the backfield. They're not just, stalling the offensive line. They're pushing them back and making some plays. And, I think maybe the prototype of what we're seeing currently on that D-line is a guy like Ahmad Bro, who put on so much weight to even play defensive tackle. And now you're looking at who they're recruiting in that kind of, we'll just say 270 to 290 range. Well, they're looking at, okay, how are they utilizing Bro? He's a guy who can move side to side. You know, when he played along that entire defensive line at Ruston a couple of years ago, I mean, that's what he was known for, and even playing on the edge a little bit. So, yeah, I just think where they're moving in terms of how they want to recruit this defensive line, maybe, you know, old school fans are saying, hey, where's the big 330-pounder, right? I mean, well, one, those guys don't grow on trees, and you got to make sure they can move a little bit too. And they got a guy like Sadir Mitchell, who's, you know, can be that for them. But just in terms of how they're recruiting, man, you look along that defensive line, I mean, it has the potential to be one of the better ones when you go back in the recruiting rankings. Just based off of that potential, it's got the chance to be one of the better ones in LSU recruiting history.
Talking recruiting with Bryce Koon here on OTB. And you mentioned Lamar Brown there, and we all know, I mean, how highly touted he is. And so obviously, like, him coming and committing and all that, it's going to be a big get. But even more importantly, like, from him being from UI, being on campus. And look, full disclosure, our listeners, that's where my kids go. Our listeners know that. We talk about it all the time. And like that, look, that's even one of my worries all the time. It's like, man, are they really going to want to go, you know, to school at LSU? I sure hope so, even though they've been on campus their entire lives. Like, it's always a concern. But so, like, to get him from where he was at school, and now you've kind of got this little nice pipeline you've created. But like last year, you get Moses, now you get Brown, and a guy that's here in the city can kind of be that lead recruiter. So as much as like on the field certainly helps, like what Lamar Brown seems like he's doing off the field for this class is also helping as much, or, you know, maybe it seems like right now because he's already locked in, you know, more.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll kind of take it a step further here with you. The leader that Lamar Brown is in the recruiting room goes well beyond just the tweet that he put out, you know, yesterday, right? I mean, this is a guy who, you know, has done the camp circuit, has built relationships, you know, in terms of whether it was on the Under Armour camp circuit or wherever it was. I mean, he's building those relationships in terms of saying, hey, you know, come play with us. You know, Richard Anderson was a guy who I think is going to be an absolute monster out of Edna Carr. I mean, that guy, you talk about he's big and can move. That's exactly what he is. You know, he and Lamar are super tight. I've talked with Richard multiple times about that. And just in terms of they want to build it, Deuce Gerald's the guy that every single time Deuce came to campus, whether it was official or unofficial, Lamar Brown was around. And so, you know, I always say that the love from Texas A&M and even some of the appreciation, that was real. That was never fake. Yeah. I mean, I think they did a great job of recruiting him, but LSU is always going to be hard to beat. And, you know, here's the last part of it that you were kind of hinting at here. I mean, you know, there's a safety over there at Catholic that's looking to head up north, and you're already kind of seeing some of the push with, you know, a move LSU made in terms of bringing, you know, a staffer from Ohio State down. And, you know, the big question is, can you do enough to flip Blaine Bradford, right? And Lamar Brown, if I have to have a guy, a player or a recruit helping me in that room, Lamar is one of those. He and Blaine have a good relationship. And, you know, I don't know if it's something that LSU is going to be able to do. Ohio State had a pretty good track record of developing some safeties, and they got a pretty dang good one up there right now that they're trying to pattern Blaine afterwards. But it's just one of those things, man. We're having guys like that who are vocal leaders and build authentic relationships helps you so much. And it often goes, I guess, unseen because we just think, oh, well, they had more money or they had this. No, those relationships still do matter, and they still play a pivotal role.
All right, Bryce, last one before we let you go, and we certainly appreciate the time. What's next? Like, what's next for LSU? What are some names to be out looking for to see where they're going to end up, and, you know, kind of the next couple of guys that LSU fans need to really kind of hone in on?
Yep, I'm going to tell you, Greene County, Mississippi wide receiver Jace Matthews is announcing on August the 8th. Talked with him yesterday. You can check out that full interview over at the Bengal Tiger, but just kind of a synopsis. Cortez Hankton has really done a great job here. This is kind of a race right now for me, just talking with some people on both sides and in both programs, really. It's Auburn and LSU. Derek Nix over there on Auburn's staff, he's a Mississippi guy. I believe he's in the Southern Miss Hall of Fame there as well in terms of his playing career. So he's got really good roots in that state. Auburn's done a good job here. But, man, LSU's really pushing and kind of putting a hard sell on him. And his mom is a pivotal piece of this. And so his mom has played a big role in his recruitment. She's gone on all the visits. She loved LSU, so that's when I'm watching on August 8th. He'll be making that decision. And then at the end of the month, just kind of another one, Darius Gray, the big offensive lineman that, from up there kind of in the Maryland area. I mean, this is a kid, the Virginia area. It's one of those things where he loves Brad Davis. And a lot of questions is, would he be willing to, move that far away? And just talking with him and the amount of times he's been to campus, the amount of times that Brad Davis has reached out. I mean, look, you don't have to be a diehard LSU fan to look up what Davis has done in terms of recruiting good talent that maybe is not even necessarily in the LSU region. I mean, he's got a national reach with how he recruits. So Gray's the guy that I believe announces on August the 22nd. Right now, I would probably put it as a South Carolina LSU race, which might, pique some of the interest of LSU fans saying, South Carolina, really? But the Gamecocks with him. It's his longest standing relationship. It's one that started very early on in his high school career. Tennessee, Ohio State are in that race too. But, the Tigers have a really good chance to really snag, some really good players before the season officially starts. And that's what you want, right? Before these kids really get to the meat and potatoes of their senior year, get that commitment, maybe get them for one last visit so they can experience that game day atmosphere. I know that's something that Gray is excited to do regardless of where he commits on the 22nd. So, man, it's there's some potential for some fireworks before LSU kicks off against Clemson.
All right, there he is, Bryce Koon, good enough to join us at Bryce_Koon is the handle on social media. Give him a follow there at Bengal Tiger on 3. Also, always throwing up LSU articles. Give them a follow as well. Bryce, we appreciate the time, man. Look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks, fellas.